Tom, how do you interpret these cuts of Barclays? Is this a Barclays-specific story, or is this indicative of something broader in investment banking, broader in London? How do you interpret it?
So it's a bit of both, but it's certainly at Barclays a bigger story than any other bank I can think of. So this is a very big reduction in force, potentially hundreds of jobs at the investment bank. I think what you're just hearing from Venkat there is really interesting. You can probably see where those job cuts are going to come. They're going to come from those more capital-intensive roles. Clearly they're looking at the advisory as a way of boosting those returns they've been trying to do. But, it does just raise this big question is, they're still got those ambitions to be a big global investment bank. And I think the question is, when you're cutting hundreds of jobs, that does not help,
Yeah, how do we square that? Because we were just listening to Venkat talking to our colleagues in the States just earlier this week, wasn't it, about investment banking ambitions. They are pulling back in terms of their reliance on investment banking, I think, in some measures. But they are still talking about the importance of having a non-US investment bank in a geopolitically fragmented world. They say that adds, risk diversification, for example, for clients. So how do we square what we've heard around jobs with what they're doing on investment banking then, Tom?
Well, I think it just shows how hard the job they've got is, because basically they're going to be effectively relatively less resources for that investment bank. And so what they're saying is we are going to be targeting those really high value, returns, those really high value mandates. Sounds great on paper, but, very often you need to have that spread of services. Sometimes, you might lose money on some stuff in order to get those really high value things. So it's just difficult because often you'll see people expand, relentlessly in order to capture market share. So Barclays is saying, we reckon we've got the talent or the skill set to sort of really become focused, boost those returns and effectively do a better job with fewer people.